Alright, in this video I want to show you how you can take an image online and be able to scale it up and print it to whatever size you want to be able to do a project. For example, I want to make a giant 24-inch pumpkin. And so I'm going to run this through a couple of steps, print it out over multiple sheets of paper, and then I'll just be able to cut it out and trace around it onto my piece of wood to be able to cut it out. So first let's talk about what makes a good starting point. I think this image works well as a start. It has nice clean edges, right? And then another thing I like about it is that all the colors are consistent throughout. We don't need to worry about this text here. This, for example, I don't like as much. Same thing here, although it would probably work. And then I also am going to probably avoid using more realistic pictures. I just don't think they will look as good. All right. Let's also talk about Google, and at the top you can see it gives you some of these options. So I could just click this template button and it's going to give me just more like an outline version of pumpkins, which is nice, which I could probably just use. You can also add the word silhouette, and silhouette is just a black and white image, so that might be really easy to trace around and cut out too. Alright, but for the sake of this I want to go back just to this pumpkin. Alright, I think this is what I'll stick with. So we're going to use Inkscape to do this, so let me go ahead and launch Inkscape. We're going to make a new document, and then the first thing, if you've never used Inkscape before, navigation's kind of weird. So the scroll wheel goes up and down, and if I hold control and use the scroll wheel, it'll zoom in and out. So there's some simple controls there. Let's start by sizing the canvas to be the size that I want. So to do that, I'm going to go up to File and then go to Document Properties, and right here in the middle, that's where we're going to see our sizes. Right now it's set to millimeters, and I can change this to a bunch of different things like pixels, but I want inches. And then since I said I want to make a 24-inch pumpkin, I'll just set this whole thing to 24, and then I can close that box. Go ahead and zoom out and kind of center the screen a little bit more. Alright, now let's get our image. It's just going to be a simple copy and paste. Be aware that some images might not be copy and pasteable. Okay. Alright, now here's the magic of Inkscape. We can use this to kind of isolate what I want and kind of simplify the picture a little bit. And this isn't always necessary. You could probably just use one of those outlined versions of the picture too. But I'll show you how to use this as well too. So I have the option up here to do a bitmap tracing. But if you don't have that option right away, if you go up here to Path and then go Object to Path, that's what this is. And then I have a couple options over here. I'm using brightness cutoff right now, and you can see if I kind of change some of these threshold settings, it's going to select different things. If I wanted just the pumpkin right there, boom, there you go. If I wanted more just an outline, I can kind of dial it back a little bit. And I can play with this other ones too. I could do maybe edge detection instead, and you can see that's giving me more like a double line. And you can play with the other ones too, but I'm going to stick with brightness cutoff, and I actually think I like that. I think every line's pretty solid. Alright, once you're happy with that, go ahead and just hit apply. Alright, and then I can move this out of the way. This is my original image, which I no longer need, so I can go ahead and delete that. And then I have my trace. So I just cleaned that image up. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to scale this picture to the size of my canvas. So to scale, I will always drag from the bottom corner, and then to make sure it doesn't get stretched, you can see if I can still pull this side to side. Let me undo that. I will hold control and drag from that bottom corner, and that locks the aspect ratio, and it makes it so you can't really stretch it. Okay, and just get it as close to the edges as you feel comfortable. That looks pretty good. All right, and we're done with the image. That's it to size. Now let's be able to print it. So we need to export it. And again, I have a export button up here at the top. If you don't have it there, you can come over here to the side and come down to export there. So either way, export. And the trick to this is we're going to change this setting down here to export it as a PDF. And let me just save this to my desktop real quick. I'll call it pumpkin test and save. Alright, and then let's go find it. Here it is. And let's see, here's where we're gonna just right click it and then go ahead and hit open with Adobe Acrobat. Alright, so this is our PDF viewer that I'm using. Alright, now it's as simple as going up to, oops, sorry for the pop-up. Up top at the main menu, I'm going to find print. And then I want to print this as a poster. This dialog box pops up. Poster is what I want. And you can see it's going to put that over multiple sheets of paper, which the sizes should make sense. I'm going for a 24 by 24, and based on paper size that I use, that's what it would be, right? You can also make it even bigger or smaller here if you wanted to. If you didn't want to go through that whole process of scaling in Inkscape, again, you could change it there. You can also change page layout, so maybe save paper, or maybe not have seams in certain places. But I'm happy with that. And then once I'm good with that, I'm going to go ahead and just hit print. Now it's going to add probably a little bit of a border in between each of them, each of the pages. So you're going to have to cut off one side, and then you can kind of overlay them and tape them or glue them together to make one solid piece, and then go ahead and cut that all out. Right? There's a quick tutorial.